Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am AINA AFIQAH and I would like to talk about the impact of COVID-19 towards the global economy and Malaysia's economy overall. Firstly, a number of economic indicators have clearly signified that the pandemic is affecting the global economic growth negatively. The Organisation for the Economic Cooperation and Development (OECD) speculated that the global economy is facing the steepest and fastest recession since the 1930s. And according to the World Bank, the epidemic has negatively affected the global economic growth, where the overall GDP is predicted to decline by 2.1%. Next, as you can see here, the World Bank also expected major GDP losses in East Asia and Pacific countries such as Malaysia, Singapore, China, Cambodia, Thailand and Vietnam, where trade and tourism play a huge role. As the COVID-19 outbreak worsened and is expected to deteriorate further, Bank Negara predicted major negative effect on the economy of Malaysia. As you can see from the graph, the real GDP growth recorded by Bank Negara on the first quarter of 2020 reaches only 0.7%, while on a quarter-on-quarter seasonally adjusted basis, the economy declined by 2.0%.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Siti Zubaidah binti Kamaludin and I will be presenting the impact of COVID-19 on SMEs. As you can see, during the MCO, most SMEs are part of the non-essential businesses, so they were ordered to shut down operations during MCO, so they expected to have zero cash flow from customers for 3 months of MCO. Thus, it shows that COVID-19 affected their cash flow greatly. As you can see in the infographic, 47% of SMEs in Malaysia stated that they have a fall in demand. This fall in demand is due to not being able to reach customers because the only way to reach customers during MCO is online methods. Even though measures were taken to support SMEs in Bantuan Perhatian Nasional, most SMEs are not able to keep their businesses alive because they still need to continue paying full salary, rental and some statutory payments. This will also lead to an increase in inventories and creditor build-up as they have the lack of cash flow, and also they will deteriorate the customer relationships as they were not able to reach their customers during COVID-19.
Presenting the impacts of COVID-19 on the tourism industry. First of all, the tourism industry is one of the biggest contributors to the Malaysian economy as it provides job opportunities and businesses to 3.7 million residents. However, due to the pandemic, it is targeted that Malaysia will lose 100 billion ringgit Malaysia revenue due to the cancellation of Visit Malaysia 2020. Next, airline companies are also estimated to lose $3.32 billion in revenue because of the restriction of movement order. This loss will affect 169,000 jobs, and also it will potentially affect our Malaysian GDP, which is to lose $3.79 billion. Lastly, due to the pandemic, hotels already lose 509.75 million ringgit Malaysia in only room revenue during the first phase of MCO. Because of the lack of the revenue, 30% of the hotels are closed down temporarily or permanently. It is also projected that the average occupancy rate for this year is only 30%, even though the hotels need above 50% of occupancy rate in order to gain profit.
COVID-19 also impacts the financial institutions, also due to the decrease in disposable incomes for individuals and profits for businesses. Financial institutions face a potential loss in revenue, mostly due to writing off large amount of loans and the decrease in investments. This causes a significant reduction in cash flow, thus drying up the financial institution's liquidity. The credit risk staging criteria is changed to accommodate the automatic 6-month loan moratorium and optional credit card to loan conversion. This allows financial institutions to keep a healthy banking book and for individuals to not be blacklisted. The relaxation of regulations allowed financial institutions to be below the requirement of liquidity coverage ratio and net stable funding ratio, thus allowing the livelihood of the firms. Thus, provision changes in MFRS 9 and the relaxation of regulation is needed to offset the impact.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is ZAKWAN and I will be explaining about impact of COVID-19 on the Malaysian entertainment industry. So first is the most affected. which is the production workers, small studios and cinemas. And the impacts are loss of revenue because movie releases have to be postponed, resulting in tight cinema schedule in the future. And this actually has been made worse for the local movies since they have to compete with the international movies. Due to the tight schedule, consumers are left with so much choices. Many of them will be international movies and movies from Hollywood and so on, so that will be a challenge. And next, companies have to opt for other platforms such as streaming platforms. Streaming companies have an increase in profit, especially companies that use advertisement policies such as iFlix and View. But different for the case for Netflix. Sure, they will have a spike in their subscription, but more time people spend on Netflix doesn't mean more revenue for them because they solely rely on subscription revenue only. For the last part is that production have to be put on hold, and because of that, companies and employees are affected.